Oh, oh, oh. Om Shri Sai Ram. We welcome each and every one of you for this session of Region 10 Inspirational Channel. As you may recall, in the past 9 months, the 3 quarters, we have had the good fortune of listening to excellent presentations by various devotees from around the country who talked about the core principles that Swami wants us to develop, the core values. First, it was Satya, the first quarter, then Dharma, the next quarter, then Shanti, this immediate past quarter. And right now, for this uh, last quarter of the year, fittingly, we will be talking about love, which Swami is embodiment of love itself. And I am so excited that all of you are here, joined to listen to this next three sessions on the first Wednesdays of the month. To talk about unconditional love, we have an excellent speaker. This is going to be an interactive session, she says, but I'm mostly going to be listening because she has so much to share. Sister Aparna Chitturi from New Jersey, New York area is with us today. She has been blessed to have been born into a Sai family. Her grandparents came to Swami's fold more than 70 years ago, and then her parents followed suit. And as a toddler, Aparna had the very good fortune of having Swami's darshan on the very auspicious day of Ugadi. Since then, over the years, she has lived in many different cities in India as well as in the US, and she has been very actively involved with Swami's organization. And through the organization, through Swami's love and guidance, she has been shaped to contribute to the organization as well in so many different leadership roles. She has been a service coordinator in her region, in her center. She used to be the president of the Manhattan Psi Center, and then she became a vice president and now the president of Region 2. And I have known Sister Aparna over the last few years, where I have seen her participate at the national level. She is very actively involved in organizing many programs at the national and international conference levels as well. So I am really excited to hear about how she wants to share and how we are all going to get inspired thinking about and practicing this most important value of all, love. So welcome to our session, Sister Aparna. Thank you for making time, and please take it away. Saina.
I offer myself and this presentation at our beloved Swami's lotus feet, and I pray that he inspires all my thoughts and words. Sai Ram, sister, and Sai Ram, everyone. Wish you all a very, very happy Dasara and a very blessed Yom Kippur as well. Thank you for having me with you during this very auspicious, holy, and reflective time. And what best way to celebrate and reflect other than talk about Swami and his beautiful presence in our lives. So I'm just grateful for this time of reflection. So as Sister Vijayashri mentioned, the topic is going to be unconditional love. And I had an opportunity to reflect on it, and I'm sure we'll all learn a few things together this evening through this interactive presentation. I'm going to just bring up a few slides while we talk. So we'll start off with understanding what Swami says about love, right? When we hear the word love, from a worldly sense, it's a very different meaning from the spiritual love that Swami talks about, true love. And this true love, Swami says, is related to the Atma and not to the body. I mean, he addresses all of us as embodiments of divine love. That is what we truly are. And he explains what this love is. And in many discourses, he talks about it. He talks about how this love can be cultivated. And he also shares that while worldly love is very binding, true love or divine love is liberating, right? And what that means is that, from a worldly love standpoint, there are a lot of expectations. There are desires that come into play. And there is give and take, right? But with divine love, there's none of this. It's unconditional and it's constant and steady and always there for us. And all of us are so grateful and so blessed to experience this kind of love in our lives by being in Swami's path or any path, divine path that we may choose. So God's love is that only kind of love that is true. And Swami says there is no God greater than love. And he says, he goes on to say that love is God and God is love, and we always have to live in this energy, this loving energy. That is the highest form of energy that there is. So a little bit about divine love. As I mentioned earlier, worldly love is, there are expectations, there are attachments. All these attributes come into play when we talk about, worldly love. But God's love is just so pure and unconditional, right? There is no give and take. It is always giving. Swami says giving and forgiving, right? And it is selfless, without any expectations, and it's expansive, all encompassing. Same love towards everybody, towards all beings, towards plants, towards animals, towards birds, to everything in the universe. It's the same kind of love. And Swami says that is our true nature, that we are the embodiments of divine love, and that is what we truly are. Swami also talks about that this divine love can be expressed in two ways. One is love or devotion towards God, and then service to all mankind. And this love is the foundation of all virtues and all values, all good things. The other human values that you have been talking about over the last several months, Sister Vijayashree mentioned truth and right conduct. All these values and peace, they are founded on the basis of love. So this is the most and highest quality of all qualities. And why is this important, right? And how can we cultivate this love? We're going to talk about that in just a second. And one of my most favorite books that Swami has written is Prema Vahini. And in this book, which is the stream of unconditional love, Swami talks about why this love is so important. So here in the first paragraph, in this quote, Swami says, Paramatma or God cannot be known without faith and steadfastness. And only through love comes faith. And only through faith comes wisdom. Only through wisdom comes devotion to God. And only through that devotion can God be attained, or liberation can be attained. So for the foundation of the spiritual path, love is the basis. Love is the foundation, the basis of everything that there is. This all seems wonderful, right? But how do we cultivate this love? And again, Swami has given us all the advice, all the wonderful divine knowledge in the form of Vahinis. And he explains it in very simple words how to cultivate this divine love. The first method, Swami says, is to not look at faults in other people and just be forgiving. Even if the faults are big, he says, just pretend that they're negligible, ignore them. And he says, go inwards and focus on your own faults. And even if they are small, he says, feel sad, feel repentant, so that you don't develop those negative qualities into bigger defects. That is the first one. The second one, Swami says, whatever you do, always remember that God is present in everyone and everything. So with that, we have to be very careful on how we treat others, how we speak with others, how we behave with others. So these are the two principles that Swami gives about how to cultivate divine love. But is it easy to cultivate this kind of love? If it were easy, none of us would be here. I wouldn't be here for sure, right? So I just wanted to talk about, what gets in the way of cultivating this love. Again, Swami explains that the main obstacle that keeps us from realizing the divinity within us or connecting to that source of love within us is the mind. And the mind is nothing but bundle of desires, expectations, attachments. It creates the separation of me and mine, right? It creates this false identity that we all kind of, over a period of lifetimes, gets embedded into us, right? We develop this false identity, or the ego, that creates this sense of separateness, and that gets in the way of cultivating this divine love. And how to overcome the obstacles? Swami himself again tells us that there are many sadhanas that we can do. Here I wanted to talk about my own experience. For me, what has helped in overcoming these obstacles. The first and foremost thing is Namasmarana. It's very easy. If I have to sit and meditate, I look for a quiet place, and I need my mind to be clutter free. But Namasmarana, it's easy. I can do it anywhere at any time, and just instantly calms me, brings me back. So this is one of the most effective practices for me. And Swami so beautifully talks about Namasmarana in this quote here. he says, you may doubt whether such a small word like Rama or Sai or Krishna can take you across the boundless sea of worldly life. People cross vast oceans on a tiny raft. They're able to walk through dark jungles with a tiny lamp in their hands. The name, even the Pranava Om, which is smaller, has vast potentialities. The raft need not be as big as the sea. The recitation of the name is like the operation of boring to tap underground water. It is like the chisel stroke that will release the image of God imprisoned in the marble. Break the encasement and the Lord will appear. Cleave the pillar as Prahlad asked his father to do, and the Lord, who is ever there, will manifest himself. So, such a beautiful way. Swami explains that, it does not have to be any big sadhana, simple sadhana, just like a tiny raft can ferry us across this ocean of life. So, this is one thing that has immensely benefited me when I get stuck. The other thing that has helped me personally is seva. Again, Swami says that seva makes both the giver and the receiver happy, and it destroys egoism. It brings that feeling of oneness when we are serving. So this is another beautiful way. It's very relatable. Anybody can easily connect to this path of seva, and for me it just engages my mind completely. I just immerse myself in seva and I forget everything. So this is another beautiful remedy to overcome the mind. But I also wanted to share another third way. First one was namasmarana, second one is seva, and the third path that helps us overcome this obstacle of the mind is remembering this simple story, beautiful story, very powerful message that I heard a long time ago from a family member. So this story goes back to many years. This was in the early 2000s. A group of students were staying together, Swami students were staying together outside the ashram in a room. They were all kind of waiting after they graduated to get a job or further instructions from Swami on what to do next in their lives. And a number of them were staying inside a small room outside the ashram. And in one particular situation, there were some misunderstanding, differences between two people in that room. And these differences kept growing. And one of these students was particularly unhappy with this other person that they were having these differences with. And it got to the point of, these feelings are bottling up, and, these emotions are bottling up inside. It got to the point of, when they went to have Swami's darshan, this person blurted out and said all these negative things about his roommate, and said, Swami, I'm just very sad that this person is behaving like this with me. And this whole list of complaints started rolling. Swami very patiently listened, and he said, do you think that all of this is because of this person? And this boy says, yes, Swami, I'm just very distraught with this type of behavior. Swami very lovingly smiles and says, it is not him, it is me. So anything that is coming to you in this negative form that you are perceiving to be negative is actually me. And Swami says, not just this, anything that happens in your life, whether a person is behaving nicely or whether a person is behaving badly, it is all me. What a powerful story, right? What a beautiful message Swami shared here. If only we can remember that when we are in difficult situations, then we will not lose sight of that unconditional love that is within us. We won't get carried away by emotions, by judgments, attachments, desires. If we can only remember that beautiful, profound words from Swami. So, this is again, the third path that I try to kind of go to um, when I'm battling with, my mind that comes in the way of unconditional love. So those are the three things that I wanted to share, and those are just some reflections in general about Swami's words and my own way of overcoming any negative situations in my life. But beyond that, I also wanted to share my own personal experience.
I may I ask one thing?
Sure,
May I
sure,
just
Peter.
as you were talking, I was just thinking the way you beautifully brought it together. Like all of us know Swami is embodiment of love. He is just pure love. And he also said, my life is my message. And you talked about what are the three things that will qualify for the for defining the love, right? Namasmarana, selfless service, and to just be thinking of God, of seeing God in everyone. That's that's what Swami did at his entire life. He taught us all to do the chanting, singing, and then all the service projects that he personally initiated and touched, and to see everyone as embodiments of God. So, as you were talking about it, I was just thinking about Swami. Oh, this is how Swami taught us every day, every day, every day in his
Absolutely.
physical form as well.
Absolutely. No, that's
Yeah.
so well said, sister. And it's just, Swami sees us as divine beings, right? Which is why he has that, he treats us just like he would treat himself, right? And you can feel his love
Mm-hmm.
because it's so pure, it touches your heart. And yeah, as you were saying that, another thought comes to mind. Um, if if we are encountering a negative situation, um, I've caught myself doing this a few times, which is if my own family member were to get irritated with me or say something hurtful, um, I would like try and understand where they're coming from, right? I give that extra benefit of doubt to them, and I'm more compassionate and more understanding because in my mind they are mine, right? They are my family or my friend or um, but if it were somebody um, that I don't have this feeling of mine associated with them, could be a co-worker or it could be somebody very difficult at work. I caught myself doing that. I immediately judge, and if they're being negative, my reaction is very different, right? Maybe I won't say anything outside, but internally, I'm like, why are they so mean to me? But if the same words came from my mother or any of my loved ones, I would immediately think, oh, they may be having a bad day today, and So it's the mind that is creating the sense of me, mine, and the separation. It's a very powerful, very tricky tool that
Right.
we've been given. So it's all in the mind. And, I try to catch myself and immediately, I correct myself and I try to say, oh, they are mine too, you know. Um,
In
this,
fact,
uh-huh.
most powerful thing I have read is when someone was asking Ramana Maharishi, "Oh, but Swami, you know, I am at peace with myself, but what about the others? How am I supposed to treat the others?" And he said, "There are no others. Period.
Wow.
Everybody is just us, a reflection of us. There's only just that one entity."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's nice to say, yeah, there is a spark of divinity in all of us, so we are all the same. But for us to actually remember it and actually follow through with it, when you were saying you would treat I catch myself being short with my closest ones because I feel like I could take the liberty. With strangers, sometimes we are more kind and more polite, at least on the surface or whatever. With the loved ones, sometimes that
True,
level of understanding and that giving them that longer rope is sometimes not there. you know
true.
so it can go both ways.
It can definitely go both ways. A lot of sadhana to do.
But Prema Vahini is my absolute favorite as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's my go-to guide for everything.
In fact, our center, the Sai Sisters, they do the weekly sadhana with Prema Vahini. We did it with group 4 as well 1 year.
Uh-huh.
Now the Sai Sisters.
Yeah, our center also completed it, and we're now doing Sandeha Nivarini,
Mm,
second one. Yeah, yeah.
yes. What do you think makes us be um, less loving to the people, especially like you said, the more difficult people? Because when everything is nice and happy, and people are nice to us, of course we are also going to be nice back to them.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody is not nice, especially if we get into a victim mode, oh, why are they doing this to me? How dare they do this to me, or whatever happens, right? So what are all why do we think, first of all, it happens, and what can we do? Because what they do is not in our control.
Mm-hmm.
Only that we can do in response is in our control. How should we develop that good response?
Yeah, no, again, there is two things that come to mind here. One is, if somebody is being unkind to us, we can choose to either um, react or respond.
Mm,
React is, Swami says it's the animal instinct in us. Over lifetimes we've evolved, so those instincts are still there. So sometimes, we tend to snap, um, and Swami says that is the animal instinct at play. But Swami says if we pause, um, take a break, walk away from that situation, or drink, some water, or chant a name that is most dear to you in your heart, and then come back to that situation. Swami says then you will not react; you will actually respond.
mm,
So that is something, again, these are things that are easy to kind of just hear, but in practice sometimes they become very difficult, especially in heated situations. But I try to kind of hold on to that. um, just helps me immensely not to just immediately um, you know say something, but just to take a pause for some time. So yeah, yeah. Um, and it's just, Swami's love is just so unconditional, and so pure and so giving. There's no expectation in return, right? And I wanted to, like, talk about my story on how I experienced this love of Swami's. And it's just, I always kind of go back to it. Um, and that gives me immense amount of strength and comfort, that he's always with me no matter what. So, as you mentioned, my grandparents on my dad's side came to Swami in the 50s, and they had many experiences with Swami that anchored their faith in Swami, and that is how their faith grew stronger over time. And my dad grew up in that environment, and he believed in Swami from an early age, from his high school years. And he would always go to Shivam when Swami visited
Mm.
Shivam in Hyderabad, and he was in that path. My mother's side of the family come from a very traditional upbringing, and for them the concept of God was, he's above in the heaven, and it's either Shiva, or Rama, or Krishna, or Venkateswara, but not a human being. So when my mom got married to my dad, she could not grasp this concept of a human being being worshipped as God. So she did not take to it. And my dad never, tried to convince her, or, rub off his ideology on her. He just gave her her space. But he would continue going to Shivam, and, he would do his own thing on his own. But, as a family, in our little family, just, my dad, my mom, myself, and my sister, Swami was not part of our life when we were growing up. But I would always hear about Swami through my dad's side of the family, my grandma and my uncles, aunts, everybody. Um, and I grew up with this view, just like my mom, that, everybody on my dad's side is brainwashed. And I just had this, very, I was very judgmental at that time, not knowing, right? I would think they're all kind of, making up these stories. How do these materializations happen? I could not relate to the concept of materializations. When I would hear from my dad about vibhuti coming from Swami's photo, or, honey dripping from Swami's picture, and, a sick person being healed, and a dead person coming back to life. And I thought these were all like cooked up stories. It's like, how does this even happen? So I had this frame of mind, and I, kind of grew up with that frame of mind. And I had a very analytical thought process growing up. Everything had to have a reason, and, everything had to be explained. So I kind of had that mindset growing up. And then, I became a teenager. And after I completed my high school and my 12th, I got into engineering in a different city. So up until then, I was in a very protected environment. And then after that, I had to, my parents were in Hyderabad, but my engineering school was in Maharashtra, near Nagpur. So I had to move away from home. And that was the first time I was away from home. I was very homesick. Up until then, I was a very good student, and that was my identity. I always, thought that I was very good in studies, and, I just felt like I was invincible. But Swami has his way of molding us, and, very gently correcting us. So I moved away from home and I was experiencing a lot of challenges, and I could not concentrate on my studies, and my grades started tumbling. It was so bad that I actually did not clear one of the exams. And that hit me very hard because up until then, that was my identity. And when that kind of started, um, not going the way that I always imagined it would, it destroyed me. And I was just not knowing how to handle that at that time. And I was very, very sad. Um, I couldn't cope with it. And one of my roommates at that time, she was Swami's devotee, and she was good friends with me. So she was planning on moving out of the hostel or the dorm where we were staying so that she can study better, because the environment was very not conducive. So she asked me and she said, Aparna, like, would you want to kind of move out and stay outside? I was thinking about it. I just thought I'll check with you. So I spoke with my parents, both our parents, my roommate's parents, my parents also spoke to each other, and they figured that it would be good, if we moved out. So they found a place right next to my professor's home, so that we have somebody to kind of take care of us, and we moved, and we were staying in that apartment right next to my professor's house. My professor's wife also happens to be a Swami devotee at that time. So Swami was slowly kind of entering my life and entering, into our family, into my mom's life, my sister's life at the same time. And he chose this time because he knew that we needed him, because we were just on the verge of getting into a very tough phase in our life, all four of us,
Mm.
health wise, stress, like all kinds of situations, like really terrible situations were, kind of in on the brink. And Swami chose to kind of enter slowly into our lives to give us that comfort and strength that we needed.
Mm.
So as this was happening, we moved out, um, and my roommate would talk about Swami, and I was like, oh no, not again. I heard this growing up, and I never really kind of related to it, and I was like, I can't be rude to her. Um, so I just would listen, and she would share about all these miracles. She said, oh, we had bhajans at our home, and this huge pieces of sugar candy appeared on the doorstep of our home during bhajan time. And these like pieces of sugar were huge, like the size of a brick. And I was like, I didn't believe it, but I was asking her questions, and I was like, how can that happen?
Mm.
And I didn't like push it, but I was just questioning her. And then after a few days, when we would come back from college and when we would walk back to our apartment, my professor's wife would actually wait for my roommate. She would sit in the patio balcony, and she would be waiting for us because in that city there were not too many Sai devotees. So she was longing for satsang.
Mm.
And my professor was also not a Swami devotee, so she was just longing to have somebody to talk to about Swami. So she would be waiting, and as soon as we start walking in, she would call both of us, and she would say, "Come, come, have chai." And she would have chai and snacks for us, and I would just sit, and her and my roommate would just start talking about Swami, and they would share all these beautiful stories, but they didn't interest me at that time. I could not relate. So I would keep thinking, oh my gosh, how do I get out of this? But I had no choice because I cannot be rude or disrespectful to her, so I would just sit and listen. And then we would go back to our room and the stories would continue. And then, it got to a point of, I started arguing with my roommate. I said, okay, we both are engineering students. Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. How is this matter appearing out of the thin air? You are an engineering student, you should know better. Explain to me. And she didn't have any way of explaining. And we would argue, and then she would kind of, give up and say, you won't understand. You won't understand. I can't make you understand. So I would think, okay, I kind of won the argument. And, she would play Swami's bhajans every morning as soon as she woke up. And I didn't want to listen to them, but I had no choice. So unknowingly, I learned a lot of Sai bhajans because they would play first thing in the morning. So this went on, and our exams came. We get another opportunity, to give the exam one more time. If you don't pass, then you kind of don't make it to the next class. So I had the opportunity now to make up for the exam that I didn't clear previously. And unfortunately, my exam didn't go well. So I was just very shaken, very, very sad, and I would be in tears all the time. And right around then, Swami's birthday came, and my roommate decided to celebrate. So in our apartment, she had this beautiful picture of Swami. She decorated it very nicely with flowers. She got a lot of sweets from outside, and she offered them to Swami. She was singing bhajans, and she asked me to come and sit as she was singing bhajans. So I was sitting there at the back, just watching, everything. And then she was giving aarti to Swami. So I stood up and I was just, just standing there. Something about the whole thing just moved me. I don't know what it was. And tears started rolling down my eyes. Without, my own kind of realization, I was just tearing up. My roommate finished the aarti and she turned around, she gave prasadam to me, and she said, Aparna, I know that you don't believe in Swami and you don't believe anything that I say, but I somehow feel like saying this to you. Why don't you in your own heart make a wish and ask Swami for something, and maybe if it comes true, you can believe in him. She said that. And then at that time I thought, oh, this is a nice way to test Swami. So in my mind I thought, okay, Swami, if everything that I've been hearing about you all my life, if all of this is true, make me pass the exam that I know that I'm not going to pass, because I did very poorly. There's no way. Not only pass, make me get an A grade. So this was the thought that I had in my mind, very childish, very, very, silly now if I think about it. But that was the conversation that I had with Swami, and that conversation was done, and we finished our exams, went back home. My roommate was actually traveling through Hyderabad, so she stayed with us, that night, and she was sharing about Swami with my sister, and my sister was overjoyed hearing all these stories, and she instantly connected to them. At the same time, my dad's colleague went to Puttaparthi. I think it was probably 70th or 75th birthday around that time. So they printed this beautiful book on the birthday celebrations, and my dad's co-worker not knowing that my dad was a devotee, gave that book to him. So dad got that book home around that time, and we were all reading it. And my mom, she founded a school and she's been running that for a very long time. And in her desk, in her office, she was the only one who has keys to her desk. When she went and opened her desk, a picture of Swami appeared in her desk. So she didn't know where it came from. Ordinarily, she wouldn't have believed, but just at that time, so many things happening in her life. So she kept that picture with her. So all these things were happening. Swami was entering our life from every direction. He just wanted to get in and help us. Um, so then, my results came, and of course, I got an A grade. And then I started thinking, that got me thinking that maybe there is something to all these beautiful stories that are being shared. Maybe he is God. These thoughts started crossing my mind. Um, and Swami very, very lovingly, very gently, started pulling me in. Then my mom was also doing a course in education at that time, in higher education, and one of our classmates in that course was a resident of Puttaparthi.
Mm.
And he invited all of us to come to Parthi, and he said, "Oh, we have a hotel there, you can come stay there." So all these things were happening simultaneously, and so we decided to make a trip to Parthi.
Mm.
So all four of us went, and we had beautiful darshan, and it was actually during Dashara time.
Mm.
So around this time of the year. So that was our first darshan of Swami, and I was just sobbing when I saw him, not knowing why, just uncontrollably, because his love is so immense, and so pure, and although my mind couldn't grasp it, I perhaps my soul could, feel it.
Mm.
And we had this beautiful darshan, and we came back to our hotel room, and I had this small purse that I was carrying, because in darshan you cannot take a big bag. You're only allowed to take a small purse. So I just had, our room keys and some cash in that purse, and I was carrying it with me. And we got back to the room, and my mom said, like, you have the keys, why don't you open it? So I just opened the purse to reach out for the keys, and I find this tiny envelope in my purse, and I wasn't sure what it was, because I was carrying the purse the whole time, and before we left the room, I only put, like, some cash and keys in it. So I wasn't sure what it was, and I pulled it out, and it was a little brown envelope. When I opened it, it had four chains with pendants of Swami. These were like black strings, thread strings, with beautiful pendants of Swami on one side and Shirdi Baba on the other side. So I was completely, like, shocked. I was in tears, and all the words that I said came back to me. I would say, like, how does matter appear out of thin air? And Swami, just showed that to me, that, God can do anything. Um, and he didn't have to do that. I'm a nobody. For him to come down to convince me, he didn't need to do any of that. It was only because of his love that he gently kind of got us into his path when we are ready and when we needed him the most. And it just the story kept going, and here I am many, many years later, totally in love with him, after experiencing His unconditional love. And I pray to Him that, this continues forever. And yeah, there's so much more to share, but I think we're almost at time. So I think I'm just going to take a pause here.
No, it's for sharing this personally as well. I was thinking it's like as moms, if our children are misbehaving, if they refuse to eat or whatever, we're not going to say, okay, don't eat and starve. We're going to go run after them. We're going to bring them gently, coax them, give them what they want, maybe a candy before they can actually eat their dinner. That's really what Swami was trying to do, I think.
Absolutely,
Aparna needs the
absolutely.
proof. I'm going to give her the proof. And
Who does that, right? Like, who does that? Um,
only a mother.
Only a mother. Yeah, love of 1,000 mothers.
Oh,
And
indeed. So
yeah.
I'm so glad that we're talking about the love of the mother and how Swami is the mother, universal mother, on this auspicious day, being Vijayadashmi, you know, to be thinking about and reflecting on Swami's love. Because, I mean, I personally love these sessions because I get to listen to all of these. In addition, while I'm thinking about the topic, I'm also reading something that Swami always has a way of sending you information related to that, right? So then maybe my understanding gets a little bit more, you know, more than the surface level that it normally is. So it's really really beautiful. Thank you for sharing what you did.
No,
And
thank you.
Swami is, yeah, he's not going to judge us. He's not going to say, what kind of proof do you need? Why do you need proof? And all that. So if we have to take his message and make our life his message, maybe we should also, in addition to being selfless, in addition to trying to do seva, be less judgmental. Maybe
Mhm.
help us and not
Absolutely.
question people, take them where they are at, and maybe
So
that
many
will
life lessons, he just
make.
constantly like teaching
Yeah.
and gently, bringing me back.
Yeah, and what you said earlier also about the difficult people, the students who were talking, and Swami said, "I am those difficult people." The minute you think that okay, these difficult people are Swami, then obviously you're going to notch it down like a few. you know, we're not going to be harsh with them. If
Yes,
Swami was standing there, we would not be talking like that, right?
yes.
So, in fact, there's another. It's not one of the sai satsangs somewhere else that I had read. Apparently, the souls pray, between lives, and they say that they choose to be the difficult person to come into your life. It's because only through those difficult interactions and through that rubbing is
Mhm.
how you get polished, and so it's for your benefit that they're being difficult. So if I think to myself, okay, first off, they're being helpful to me so I become a better person. And the second point is they are Swami himself in
Mhm.
this form trying to tell me something, so I better not get mad and listen to them. I think that's for my good. I think those two things will I'm now saying specifically for myself,
No, these are all
it'll
these are
help me.
all things that we always can like go back to and reflect on when we are in difficult situations. And Swami gives us all these beautiful messages through stories, through satsangs, through vahinis. We have so much
Yeah,
of wealth and treasure that he's given us that we
definitely,
can use when we need.
for sure. For sure. So beautiful. Thank you again for coming and sharing with all of us. This is exceptional session for us to reflect on Swami's love. And I'm so looking forward to the next two as well. This, personally, fall is my most favorite time of the year. The Temperatures are cooling down, colors changing on the leaves, so pretty. The whole world takes on a celebratory atmosphere all across all cultures, right? Like you said, we think about, reflect, we pray,
Mm-hmm.
and then so many celebrations. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. We'll be having Hanukkah and Christmas soon. We have Diwali and Navratri for us, and so many festivals. And in our Sai world, starting with Avatar Day this month, Ladies' Day, and Birthday, this is all just going to end, especially this year being 100.
This year, yes.
So many beautiful celebrations. By the way, those of you that are listening, hope you have registered to go to the international conference in Premnilium. Please do so. There is no registration fee, but you must register to attend. Please do so. Happening in Sai Premnilium in Riverside, California. So each of our centers are planning very, very beautiful programs to celebrate our Swami. So, really, really looking forward to this next few months of soaking in Swami's love. Thank you again for coming and sharing. We'll close with Om Shanti.
Thank you, sister. Thank you.
Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.